Hey guys, Jen Gray's back. So we are on chapter 3 of No Longer Human, of going through it and everything. So um, let's see. So last we talked about our main character was going through and joining or had joined that group and of people that basically were gonna blow up businesses and stuff because they, for whatever reason, didn't have whatever it was because people got fired and whatnot. So, starting out in chapter 3 with this, so our main character still thinks, his dad um, forgot what his face kind of looked like and that he's not really that important, different stuff like that. And so our character went from two that he didn't want the people to think he was rich. Now we're seeing he finally lost that. His dad wanted to give him character. He wanted him to be more self-sustaining. So he um, took away his apartment that he had, took away his credit cards, different stuff like that. So now our character is not rich. Um, he's kind of living a more hikikomori lifestyle where it's him being a shut in, eating convenience store food, doing all that, living just out of the same room and clothes and everything. Um, and they moved him to a little bitty apartment that we usually see in like manga and different stuff like that, where it is a kid. Um, that the person lives at. Um, Trying to think of one that I can remember, but none of them comes to mind. Just one of those like two-story ones. Um, I Am a Hero has it in there, where it's a two-story complex, and it's just one room with a bathroom and stuff and a little kitchen. That's about it. It's kind of a step up from a studio apartment kind of thing, but not as big and luxurious. So that is where they got him. That is where they took him to. His brother did. Um, Now we're seeing total change. He was kind of clean cut. He had his hair short. Now it's getting longer. Kind of him not caring about looking about his appearance or anything anymore. Um, he is going out. When people basically like make a big pot of like food and give it to like the homeless and stuff. It's kind of what they're doing now, but it looks like it's all people from his his little group that he was in. And he's talking about the girl that was interested in him before that he had talked to, um, but she wants him to think of her as like his big sister, which obviously is probably not going to work the way he thinks his family is and everything. But he says basically that she took pleasure in helping people. He did get the little thing of soup that they gave out, but she offered to take him somewhere else because she was helping him out. You know, totally changed now. Now he's 18. Um, I don't know what soup we had before this, but they said it's kind of an upgrade because before they had something else. Now it's pork and vegetable soup. Um, his friends found him again. The one that he had before, Misoa. I think that's what it is, Misoa. See if we have a name anywhere. I don't think so. I think that's the correct name, though. He even brings up that his hair is a lot longer because it went from like being here to being like down here. Kind of just letting it go, you know. It all goes with that hikikomori lifestyle. Um, but letting his friend know why he's in such dishevelment and everything because of his dad, what he has, and his friends trying to get his number because they, you know, obviously are friends and everything. Um, the girl's giving him pocket money because she knew him from the other group instead of with this homeless group. And everybody thinks that all the homeless guys that are kind of living with him and everything think that she's basically into him. And the leader of the group, which I don't think we ever got his name, has finally come back to tell him, "Hey, it's your turn. You're gonna go set up this detonator and everything with the bomb that they have." And earlier, I mean, we had a little bit of a scene where he kind of like looked at him. He's been like kind of following him in a sense and watching him and the other girl's relationship, and that now it's to the point where he's giving this to get him away. You know, he's just jealous. And you know, he's doing all this stuff and telling the guy that this is what you're doing, you're gonna do it, da da da, you're gonna be a hero. And he's relating himself to uh, Fidel Castro, um, which, you know, that whole thing when you get to elementary or when you get into history and stuff. Um, I mean, our main character even comes up and says that that's what it is. The guy has um, that, you know, he's basically in it. That everything's basically changed from night to day, or day to night. That the guy has gone from kind of being happy go lucky and everything to now he's like super serious. Um, you know, but our character still knows with this thing that he knows to survive, he's got to kind of still stay with this group, even though he doesn't want to be a part of them. He still has to because it's one of his things. Um, I mean, they're even giving him a fancy title. He's supposed to be like the captain of this group. And again, we have kind of some more of him kind of knowing that he has to be this figure, he has to be the captain person, but the girl took him out for a drink, and he is just drinking this beer to lessen that burden. But he knows that he can't, like we know earlier in the chapter. Um, and the girl has kind of come full circle at this point. He brings up that he would do better with a computer. She says, "Let me get you one." And still in his mind, he has set back that we have here. He's sat back in the back of his mind. He still said, "Yes, I've gotten a laptop. I've done this stuff that I need to," and going over it. He doesn't need it. He doesn't. Um, need people. And so he's kind of like, oh yeah, I've gotten this because this lady got it for me. Almost kind of that whole weird psychological thing with him that he just doesn't think anything about it. He doesn't think about any of that. Um, but because she did that and because he's drunk, he decided to basically take advantage of the situation, and as a thank you to her for buying it and as a thing because he is drunk, he is going to basically pay her off by sleeping with her. And again, we go back to him knowing who he is and saying that him sleeping with her probably is going to lead to trouble, but right now he doesn't care about it because he wanted to do all that. Um, we have a knock at the door. Somebody's covering the peephole or whatever with their finger. We don't know exactly what's going on. And the voice is familiar. And he automatically assumes that person that it is the leader of the group that's basically been spying on him. Um, so he is now getting all his stuff together and he's running away because he doesn't want to have to worry about dealing with the guy and with her, but he made sure before he ran off that he took the laptop. Another thing with him right now at this point of he's the only one that actually matters, nobody else does. Running off with her, she's yelling at him, what about me, what about me, and all that other stuff. And he even tells himself right as he's running away that he knows that the girl is the leader's girl, basically. So we get that whole thing, and knowing that he's jealous and all that, now he is um, come, and the guy has been waiting at his apartment, at least on the stairs, for multiple times until whenever, thinking he's probably going to kill him. What is he? What is he going to do in this group? I mean, there's nothing else. He's probably going to have to leave. You know, this is something though that's good for his character, at least knowing more, getting into his character, that we know how it is. You know, like before, how he was only about himself. Now he's starting to see other people, but it's still that whole mindset that you don't matter. It's just me. Everything's about me. So, um, comes into another establishment. The one that we saw before in the first chapter, where you could go in and all it was basically like a weird brothel with couches and stuff that were separated only by three walls and an opening. Basically, now he's gone to an actual bar where it's like it's a bar where, like a host club. You know, you don't go there to actually like sleep with anybody. You go there to have their company. So I guess he's kind of going there to hide out. Um, you know, he's met this new girl, um, and I guess she knows that he's kind of poor because he's only got 1,000 yen for her company. That's how much it costs to basically rent somebody's time at this thing. But she's going to pay for his food. And if I remember right, I'm pretty sure this is the one person that a lot of things go down. And at the end of this, we're in chapter 3, so chapter 4 is probably when it's going to happen. She said she didn't know what it is about him, but he's cute. It's him getting that whole thing, um, looking adorable again, like a sad puppy, I guess. And she basically sees him outside and takes him home. Um, which this is another thing, it happens real quick. So she takes him home to be with her and everything, all that, and the guy basically ends up again sleeping with one of this girl. This is a different one than the other two. And he does take the time, though, to kind of go. The other girl, even though she helped him, this is him becoming human. Because I guess, guys, in the scope of things, when you're going to no longer be human, quote unquote, you have to find your humanity too. Um, and so it's him kind of building it up to it, and then towards the end of the series, losing it. So from here, he got with the one girl that was the guy of the group that he was in, his woman. Never went back to his house. So then he met this girl, and he says that it is different. Them being together is totally different than when he was with the other guy's girl, basically the leader's girl. And she's older. And he thinks to himself the only reason she brought him home with her and everything is because she's lonely. She tells people that she's 24, but she's really 30. So it's kind of that whole feeling like you're in a midlife crisis kind of thing, and moving from there. And I mean, this is kind of the first thing, really, guys, that's really good in this, where we see him becoming more human. He actually, it seems like he's got some feelings for this girl. Um, but it's not, we're still not at that, like, huge pinnacle of, um, where you get the whole thing of where he is, like, totally human and totally in love and all that other stuff. He's still kind of right there bumping the border of about to cross over. He kind of cares about this person, but it still doesn't really matter, if you catch my drift. So it kind of seems like with every person, he's kind of building up more to being at that human state, but he's still not really there. So we hit the last page. Um, and I know this one was a lot of describing stuff, but we'll get there. I mean, so the end of this one says, "When I nestled up against her, my own body was enveloped by that current of loneliness, which seemed to converge with the channel of prickly melancholy within me, like dead leaves that settle on an underwater rock. I was able to free myself from fear and anxiety." So going into it, with this chapter, our main character has done a few things. Um, slept with a couple of different women, um, and part of it was just for, like, him to kind of pull them in. He doesn't really have the feelings for him, but he's pulling them in. He's saying, basically, thanks you bought me this laptop, pulling her in. Thanks you've done this for me, pulling her in. Giving me money, doing all this, basically giving her this end goal, even though it was him being selfish because he's drunk, obviously. And the whole kind of thing in the back of his mind, she won't think about it if we do this. She'll think kind of we're a couple or whatever because she bought me this laptop. Which, you see, he left her behind and took the laptop and all that. And she doesn't really matter. He hasn't really thought any more about her, except when him and this hostess girl kind of got together. And all he was doing is saying how it was different. he wasn't saying there was any more love to it. There was more I like this girl or anything else to it. It was just the way they did it was a little different. And in that, knowing that it wasn't so animalistic, I guess, is him changing it from that to him getting closer to um, that pinnacle of being more human and being, I guess, more of a guy that loves. So, and then going back to the end of this thing, when I nestled up against her, my own body was enveloped by that current of loneliness because she is lonely and he is still feeling that too, somewhat, which seemed to converge with the channel of prickly melancholy within me. Melancholy, he kind of just doesn't really feel anything with that loneliness. He just kind of doesn't care. Um, and I mean, it's both of them going up against each other. He's probably feeling more content for it at this moment because he feels like they're kind of two sides of the same coin, kind of, sort of, um, or something like that. It's really close. So he feels like he kind of understands what it is, but not altogether, or more so like he's just going through the actions or going through the motions of it, of acting human to this girl. Um, and then the next part, like dead leaves that settle on an underwater rock, I was able to free myself from fear and anxiety. Um, the analogy really isn't like that big of a thing. He's still dead inside, but he's still got a foundation, but his head's still not above water. He still feels like he's drowning. So it's a lot of stuff all together in that analogy. Um, but he was able to free himself from that fear that he had of being in the water because now he's got a foundation, even though he's still in it, and the anxiety of all that stuff. So, now he's not able to go back to the apartment that I think his dad's paid part of the stuff for it. He's not able to go back to that apartment because he's scared that the guy will be there, kind of, sort of. Um, he knows he can't go back to the homeless group that he was kind of with, and that other group, he kind of left it all behind and pushed himself away from it. So, there's not that much that he can really do in that aspect with it because he's left it all behind and he's basically having to restart a new life. Again, kind of how it is. The first one was because his family did it to him, and then this time is because he did it to himself because of that, because of the past and whatnot. So, but that's the end of chapter 3. So we're moving on to chapter 4. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying this, which, I mean, I'm sure, because I'm doing it all together, so I'm sure when I start posting them, you guys will have part of the feedback and everything to it for me. But you can kind of get what's going on in the story a little bit and what my thoughts and opinions are about it. And, if you've read one of these, or whatever, one of the books that I'm doing, then you can go back and do that. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of like a video series or something like that doing this. But it's just like all the other people doing it currently, going through the chapter by chapter as they come out. But I'm going back to what it is before, or what we currently have out, stuff that's done, things that you guys can actually get into and go in and see what I kind of felt about it and everything else. Maybe if there's one that you guys have read or whatever, and there's a little bit of something that you guys think that I missed or whatever, you can bring it up to me in one of these videos, whatever chapter it is, and let me know that that's what you guys think about it. So, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye. So, yeah, stay tuned. Chapter 4 is coming.